What if I told you the biggest thing holding you back in life isn't real? It's an invisible wall that you built yourself.
We're going live, baby.
We'll do it live.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host,
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer. He is a certified master life coach and NLP practitioner.
It's true. My first full week as a full-time professional content creator and men's coach is almost at an end. It's kind of exciting first week. One of the things that I did this week was I dug up my septic tank with my son. A few blisters, no big deal. Only the palm of my hand just completely worn off. No big whoop. We also hit 80,000 followers on Facebook. So if you're watching on Facebook right now, thank you. I really appreciate all you guys on Facebook and all the engagement you guys have been giving me lately. It's been really fun. And if you guys are new to the channel, my name is Paul Bauer, and I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. Did you know every day I hear from guys stuck at jobs they hate, watching opportunities slip by, feeling invisible around women, and they're convinced deep down they're just not cut out for more. But what if that's not true? What if all of it comes from beliefs you never chose? Beliefs you picked up from family, culture, or even one-off failures that got burned into your memory. Here's what nobody tells you. Those invisible limits shape every decision. They hold you in place, sabotage your progress, and convince you that comfort is the same as safety, even when it keeps you miserable. And until you see those beliefs for what they are, you'll keep living in a box you never agreed to. Today, we're breaking out of that box. I'll show you how those walls are built and how to tear them down for good. You'll hear a story that changed how I see human potential forever. And if you're tired of feeling stuck, by the end of this episode, you'll have a clear path to start your own business, level up your career, and finally feel in control of your life and relationships. So stay with me. This might be the most important conversation you've had in years. But before we get into it, do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's what my problem is. Hold on one second. Now I'm seeing it. Hold on. We got to fix this camera. They always put it on mirror mode. There we go. Now I know what to do with my hands. Okay. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail. If you guys are watching live right now, sound off in the live chat. I can actually bring it up on the screen. You could be a part of the show if you're saying something clever. If you have a question, though, do consider sending that as a super chat, or if you're watching on Facebook, send it as a star, because this is what I do full time for a living. Okay. I'm out here busking for you and giving you guys valuable information that can help change your life. At least you could do is send a ducat or two to your boy. You know what I mean? Help support the cause. All right, let's talk about identifying our invisible prison. And that's really what we're talking about today. We have an invisible prison that we've put around ourselves. And most of the time we don't even realize it, that we have this thing, right? And this is why so many men feel stuck wherever they're at, right? It could be they feel stuck in a career, stuck in a job they hate, stuck in a relationship that's not working out for them. They're stuck in the same dating patterns where they keep attracting the wrong women or no women or whatever. they're stuck in some area of their life and they feel like, well, this is just reality. This is just how life is. It's how life's supposed to be. It's not necessarily true. But a lot of those are from beliefs that we've been programmed with since we were kids, right? We call those paradigms. And I say this a lot on Frame Fridays, but what's a paradigm? It's nothing more than a series of habits and beliefs that you've stored up in your subconscious mind over time that you sort of act on without any conscious thought, right? And so a lot of these beliefs have been programmed into you from your family, from early failures in life. Like maybe you messed up in one area and now you think, I can never get good at this and I'll never be good at it or whatever. Or I'm never going to achieve that kind of thing. Or you get society's messaging, right? You're just listening to some kind of narrative that someone's putting out there and you've bought into it. And so now this is a belief system that's keeping you stuck where you're at. A good example of this is the MGTOW and Black Pill community, right? How many MGTOW guys out there have decided it's not even worth talking to women because they bought into the narrative that women want the 3 or 4 6s, depending on who you're talking to. What are the 3 or 4 6s, right? You have to have a 6-inch schlong, at least a 6-inch schlong, or you might as well just not even talk to women. You got to have 6-pack abs. You got to at least make a 6-figure salary, and you got to be at least 6 feet tall. If you don't have those things, you're just wasting your time, bro. Right? That's a narrative that those guys have adopted, and it's keeping some of those guys from even talking to women before they even try. And the funny thing is that when you go out and actually talk to women, none of that's true. None of it's true. It's absolutely ridiculous, right? And to just see it for yourself, all you have to do is go to the mall and see just couples walking around. Like there's plenty of guys that have a girl on their arm that don't match the 3 or 4 6s. Like it's easily provable, but these guys have chosen to believe this narrative, and now they've created an invisible wall around them that keeps them from having healthy relationships. You see where I'm going with this? So this concept of the invisible wall, and how beliefs are created and reinforced over time. The reason why I did this episode, we'll talk about this here a little bit more in section 2, but Brother John from Wolfpack sent me this really fascinating TikTok, and it was a clip of some other show, and they were talking about this thing that this guy did. He took an ant and put it on a piece of paper, and then he drew with a pencil, a circle around the ant. Well, the ant sees the line on the paper and believes it can't cross the line, and it won't. It will be stuck in that circle. It's just stuck in there because it believes that circle is some kind of boundary that it can't cross. It's not that he can't cross it. It's not that the pencil lead is somehow, so thick on the paper that he can't lift his little leg. That's not true. He just believes he can't, and so he won't. Same thing happens to spiders, right? We'll get into that here in section 2. I don't want to give too much away, but that got me thinking, and it actually got him thinking too. He's like, this could be a good episode idea. And I was like, yeah, I mean, this is basically self-limiting beliefs that we're talking about. Why not do an episode on self-limiting beliefs, right? But this sort of thing shows up in our lives as well as humans, right? For example, a man who wants to start a business but hears an inner voice saying, that's not for guys like me, right? A good self-limiting talk I heard from a guy in the space once, and he's a guy I looked up to, right? I would consider him a mentor of mine, RP Thor. He used to say that nobody in this space does this full time. He's like, everyone only does this as a hobby. No one's really doing this full time, which isn't true. That's not true. And I knew that wasn't true. And I knew that I wanted to pursue this full time, right? But Ryan Stone's doing it, right? Rollo Tomasi's doing it. Rollo doesn't have a side job. This is his full-time job, right? Being an author, being a podcaster, that's his full-time job. There's guys out here doing this sort of thing, right? Why can't I? But Thor believed that no, you have to have a real job, and then podcasting's just for funsies, right? For a lot of guys, that's what a lot of guys believe. Okay, but there's a method to the madness, and all you got to do is study what the guys who are doing it are doing, right? It's called modeling. Anyway, so that's one example, right? You just put this belief around you, and so it keeps you from even pursuing it. Like, what if I could do this? You just immediately stop with, nah, it's just a hobby, right? Fear of approaching women. You see that a lot in this space. How rejection is almost rehearsed in their mind before they even go and say a word. And so they end up talking themselves out of it. This is why I like to tell guys to have a 3-second rule when it comes to women. Like, if you see a girl, you have 3 seconds to go talk to her, or you're going to talk yourself out of it. A lot of guys are talking themselves out of it. They're saying to themselves, oh, she wouldn't like me. Oh, I'm probably bothering her. Oh, I don't want to go up and talk to her. She's going to reject me. Like, they're already talking themselves out of it, and they don't really know unless they actually go do it. Right. But they're telling themselves a story in their head that's preventing them from even moving forward. So do you see how we're developing these invisible lines in our own lives? All right. Well, these the mind wires these beliefs, and they tend to manifest in your habits and then in your results, right? Because all your results in life come from your thinking, right? And a lot of it's your subconscious thinking. Your subconscious thinking causes your actions, because 95% of your actions is habit-based. You're doing most of the stuff without any conscious thought, right? Just think about getting up in the morning and going to the bathroom and brushing your teeth. You do that 99% of the time while you're half dead asleep, right? You get up, you go to the bathroom, you brush your teeth, you do it the same way every time. It's all habit. You don't even think about it. Right? How many times have you gotten in your car and driven your car and gotten to work, and you don't even remember the last 20 miles, right? It's because you just get in your car and you're just habit-based, and you just let your subconscious take over, and then you're just sort of, in la la land, and then you get to work and you're like, how did I even get here safely? Right? Well, that's your paradigms at work, right? Well, those actions, those subconscious actions, cause reactions out in the world as you're doing whatever it is you're doing. And those reactions, those actions cause reactions. Those reactions cause your actual results in life. So if you're not getting the results you want, you've got to start up here and start changing what's going on up here. Okay. Your brain works like a pattern recognition machine. The mind's always looking for patterns and making predictions to keep you safe. But those predictions aren't necessarily true, but we're just wired that way as a part of our evolutionary psychology to stay alive, right? It's a survival mechanism. So we're almost always looking for what's the worst possible outcome, because I want to avoid danger, right? And when you experience setbacks or criticism, your brain stores these as evidence. Oh, this is evidence. Remember the last time you tried that and it didn't work out, right? And over time, it wires in certain truths of what's possible for you, like what you believe to be true. And how many of you guys out there, you hate optimists? You hate optimists. You get frustrated at optimists, and you're like, I'm a realist. This is what's real. But is it really real? Or is it a self-limiting belief? You have to ask yourself this. After watching this episode, you can't go forward without going, wait a second, is that true? Okay, that's the goal. By the end of this episode, you're going to be starting questioning every belief you have. Wait a second, why do I think that? If you fail at something once, your mind might tag that experience as danger, and you start avoiding that sort of thing, right? Even if it's just public speaking, starting a business, or asking someone out, you'll say, oh, I failed at that one time and I might as well, it's just not for me. It's just not for me. I'm just not cut out for that, right? Now, there is a difference. I will say this. There is a difference between believing you can't do something and then going out and discovering you just don't fucking like that sort of thing. Right? Because, for instance, I spent October through April working with a business coach. And the stuff I learned from him, and well, there was 3 coaches in that program. The stuff I learned from those guys was invaluable. I'm using it today in my podcast and like how I put out videos and stuff on social media. I'm using all that kind of stuff. But the main way that they run business and that they're teaching people how to do, I actually don't like that model. I tried doing it for several months the way they wanted me to do it, and I'm just like, man, I don't like this. This is not what I want to do. And so at the end of the program, I didn't renew, and of course, one of the coaches is just hounding me to get back in the program, and I'm like, I'm done. You taught me everything I needed to know. You know what I mean? But it's not that I can't do it, because during the program, I showed myself that I absolutely could do it. It's just that I don't like doing it, right? The way that they were having me do certain things. So I was like, I have to find something that's more me. That's more something that is what I envision my future being, right? So there's a difference there. There's a difference between thinking you can and can't do something, you're cut out for it or you're not, and then just going, man, I tried that, I don't like it. Right? There's a difference. There is a difference. But let's go back to the self-limiting belief stuff, right? The more you repeat these thoughts, right? Like, I'm not good at this. That's just not me. The stronger those neural connections get, turning them into habits and automatic responses. Okay. This is why self-talk is so important. And most people don't realize the negative self-talk that they're giving to themselves on a daily basis. You need to be aware of the negative self-talk that's rolling through your head, where it's all lack, limitation, why you can't do stuff, why that's not for me, why I'm not good enough, like all that kind of stuff. Anytime you sort of jokingly call yourself an idiot, right? Like you make a mistake and you're like, oh, such an idiot, right? That's negative self-talk that gets programmed in your paradigms. So you have to be aware of that and try to eliminate that negative self-talk as much as possible. All right. You guys want to talk about some NLP here? In NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, if you guys didn't know, I am a certified master NLP practitioner. In NLP, your inner dialogue and mental pictures become blueprints for your future behavior. Okay. You start believing this stuff and it shows up in those actions, right? Like I said before, 95% of your actions are habit-based. That's all coming from your paradigm and your programs and stuff. So that negative self-talk, that's creating a program in your head that's going to actually show up in your actions and your future behavior. So it's almost like when you say these negative things to yourself, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because you're wiring it into your brain to act that out, to act in that way. Right. And if you constantly imagine rejection or failure, you're running that scenario in your nervous system as if it's real. As if it's real. And the thing is that our brains are phenomenal, powerful things. But what's funny about it, one of the biggest weaknesses of your subconscious mind is it can't determine what's real and what's imagined. So if you're imagining a scenario in your head, it believes it's real. Right. And anything that your subconscious believes is real, it's going to make it real for you. It's going to try to make it real for you. Okay. So, on the flip side, NLP shows that you can actually recode these patterns by deliberately choosing new thoughts, new mental images, and anchoring different feelings to situations you want to handle better. That's why NLP is super effective, because it actually works at the subconscious level to sort of undo some of these negative paradigms that you have in place. And we do it with different methods, different visualization techniques, different like hypnosis techniques, conversational hypnosis techniques, embedded commands. There's all sorts of different ways that we in NLP can use, different tools we can use to sort of undo some of those things, right? And I'm going to give those to you at the end. So stick around, okay? But we get these, we start developing these habits as a result of repeated belief loops. And self-limiting beliefs show up not just in how you feel, but in your actual routines and results, right? You might skip an opportunity, say no to something that might be a little too challenging. You might avoid tough conversations, right? And that's all because of paradigms in your head. Like maybe you have to deliver some bad news to someone, and you hate delivering bad news because one time you gave someone bad news and they had a complete meltdown, and you're like, oh, I never want to do that again, right? Well, these aren't random. They're a product of your brain's wiring, right? Automatic loops keep you automatic loops you learn to protect yourself from. Geez, man, I need more coffee, guys. Okay, automatic loops you learned to protect yourself from. You learn to protect yourself from discomfort, even when that discomfort is just the feeling of uncertainty or possible embarrassment. There's sometimes like I write these things, like at night, and then like I'm like, it sounds good when I'm writing it, but then when I'm reading it, I'm like, what the hell was I trying to say there? Man. All right. Well, there's some good news. Neuroscience and neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. NLP, by the way, is not a science, right? It's a praxeology. It's very much like Red Pill. The guys who created it, was it Richard and Bandler? What they ended up doing was they just were looking at what certain therapists were doing, and they were just modeling whatever they were doing, right? They're like, oh, this seemed effective. Let's take that technique, right? And they built up this whole praxeology based off of just modeling other tools, right? And so there's a really great book that I have on NLP. It's called like NLP in coaching excellence or something. I don't know. But one of the things that he said is as a praxeology, if it works, it's probably NLP, right? If it works to rewire your brain, it's NLP. And he talked about how they've been using NLP, since, for thousands of years. We just didn't call it NLP until like after the 60s, right? It's kind of fascinating. Anyway. So the good news is that neuroscience and NLP, they both agree. When you consciously practice new habits and challenge old beliefs, the brain can actually rewire itself, making growth and new outcomes possible. We call this neuroplasticity, right? Your brain has the opportunity to develop new neural pathways. So you start thinking about things differently, right? Our brains are pretty miraculous that way. And I got a story for you, and you've probably heard this one, right? Maybe you never thought about it as a blueprint for your own life, but it's about a little engine, a young guy really, who got handed a job nobody thought he could do. So here's how it goes. There was this long train loaded with toys, food, and gifts that needed to get across a mountain to some kids on the other side. The main engine, a big, older guy, suddenly breaks down. Now the train is stranded at the bottom of this massive hill. A few important engines come rolling by. The passenger engine, slick suit, fancy job, says, that's not my department. The freight engine, old, grizzled, says, I've put in my years, kid. Time for someone else to figure it out. One after another, everyone's got a reason not to help. Then this little engine, a young blue engine, just a boy compared to the rest, rolls up. He doesn't have the experience, doesn't have the big resume. And honestly, he's never pulled a load over a mountain before. He's kind of nervous. The challenge looks huge, but when the toys ask for help, something inside him sparks. He says, I think I can. I think I can. He hooks himself to the train. The wheels start turning. The mountain looms above him. Every inch is a battle. The other engines are watching, waiting to see him fail. But the little engine keeps saying, I think I can. I think I can. He repeats it over and over, pushing himself, even when his body is screaming for him to quit. Halfway up, doubt creeps in, but he doesn't stop. He keeps repeating those words. I think I can. I think I can, like a mantra. Every time he wants to give up, he doubles down. Finally, near the top, when it looks impossible, he gives it one last push. I think I can. He makes it. He gets over the mountain. As he's rolling down the other side, bringing hope and joy to everyone waiting, he says to himself, I knew I could. And here's the lesson for every man listening. It's not about the biggest, the oldest, the most connected, or the guy with the best resume. It's about your willingness to step up when others won't and back yourself, even when no one else does. That little engine didn't have proof. He had belief and the guts to try. Most of the limits you see in your mind, the mountain looks big. Right? Most of the limits you see are in your mind. The mountain looks big, but what you repeat to yourself matters more than the size of the hill. Next time you face a challenge, don't overthink it. Don't wait for permission. Just say, I think I can, and start moving. That's how men get it done. Even better is to say, I can, or I know I can, right? Present tense. Always try to do that sort of thing in the present tense. Before we take a break, I want to emphasize that the beliefs you have that are holding you back in life are not the truth. They are learned and can be reprogrammed. All right. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But before we do, guys, follow me on social media. The links are in the description. I'm on all the good platforms. And like I said before, Facebook is really blowing up for me right now. Like we actually passed 80,000 followers this week. We're up, I think the last time I looked at 82,000. So it's amazing. So shout out to guys on Facebook. I am trying to grow my X account though. So if you're also on X, follow me on X, would you? Guys, if your relationship's going downhill, grab my free ebook. Go to ebook.fixdeadbedrooms.com for that. I don't think I actually put that as a link in the description because what we're talking about today is paradigms and mental frame. That's what we like to talk about on Fridays. And I have a book. It's called The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology Paradigm. And it's all about rewiring your subconscious mind to have more of a dominant masculine presence and just success in general in life. Let me play a commercial for that. And then, before I play a commercial for that, let me also remind you that you guys can sponsor a video as well. As soon as you guys, I start getting more guys signing up for this, I'm going to do these on Tuesday nights, right? So if you sponsor a video, you have a particular problem that you're dealing with in relationships or life, and you want me to do a video about it, go to video.comeonmanpod.com and sponsor a video. And then I will dedicate a video for you. And those will go up on Tuesday nights. We'll do them live at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So go to video.comeonmanpod.com and then get the book, right? Psychology Paradigm. Let me play a commercial for that, and then we'll get back to the topic.
Have you ever felt like something's holding you back in your relationships? Like you're always on the back foot, struggling to connect with women? You're not alone. Many men are taught to be weak, to defer, to play small around women by their upbringing, by society, by the very world that shaped them. But what if you could break free from the invisible chains that have held you back? What if you could rewrite the script, reprogram the paradigm that's been running your life? This is your chance to step into the man you were always meant to be. in The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology Paradigm by Paul Bauer, the first book in R.P. Thor's groundbreaking series. You'll learn how to understand and transform the paradigms that have shaped your life. You'll discover how to develop a dominant masculine presence, one that commands respect, inspires trust, and brings fulfillment to your relationships. Don't wait for life to change on its own. Take control. Order your copy of The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology Paradigm now on Amazon. Available in hardcover, paperback, or on Kindle. This is more than a book. It's your roadmap to a life of purpose, strength, and success. Make the decision today. Reprogram your life and step into the man you were meant to be.
Indeed, indeed. We have a bunch of people in the chat today. Nurse Chick says, she says, good morning, gentlemen. Thank God it's Friday.
So naughty.
I'm gonna come.
She is, because look at this other comment. She says, audio is great. It'll be even better tonight. You know what I'm talking about. Nurse Chick comes back tonight, and then she's going to be with me all next week. All right, guys. Dividend Gypsy says, greetings, everyone. Hey, greetings. And then CW's in the house. Brother CW from Wolfpack. Morning, gents and Nurse Chick. Mowdy from Wolfpack. Good afternoon from the UK. Hell yeah, man. Carrie, he's another Wolfpack brother. Howdy, y'all. What's up, man? Eric Donovan's in the house. What's up, brother? Solinus says, hey. We've got some super chats here. I'll get those here in a second. Mike says, on my 7,000 step morning walk right now. Awesome. Yep, rustling grass, wind or tide. What are you talking about? Okay. And then we've got some super chats here. Thank you for this, by the way, because I do this full time, you know. Brother Ed from Wolfpack send a $5 super chat. Thanks for helping us to paradigm bust. Okay. And then, oh, we're busting paradigms today. Is that what we're doing? All right. I'm going to give him the shaking booty video. He is a Wolfpack brother.
Moving closer to the line. Thank you, you're the best. Party on, we never rest.
And demonetized. keep those super chats coming in, guys. Kamal with the 5.99 euros. These techniques help me change old habits. Takes time and consistency. It does. And here's the thing. I know a couple of hypnotists in the space, and they do great work. But what I found is guys who go and see like a hypnotist, like with just one session, they come back feeling really good after one session. In fact, if you do a NLP session with me, and I take you through like a swish pattern or something like that, or a circle of excellence type technique that we do in NLP, you're gonna feel pretty fucking good too. Right. But it's not going to last unless you keep that work going and keep that repetition going. Cause your neural pathways don't go away. They don't just fade away after one session. You have to constantly reinforce the new neural pathways, which requires consistency and sort of an effort. So Kamal's right about that. And I'm also going to give him the shaking booty video because he's also a Wolfpack brother. And that's what we do. So this is how it works, guys. The booty shaking video is a $10 super chat normally. And then the titty video is a $20 super chat normally. But if you're in the Wolfpack, you automatically get bumped up. So I'm going to give him the booty shaking video.
Super chat with Steve, yeah. Shake it, dance without a care. Send it love from everywhere. Groovy beats we all can share. Your support is so divine. Moving closer to the line. Thank you, you're the best. Party on, we never rest.
There's just so much jiggle in that wiggle. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, and then brother Ray's in the house. Core childhood memory unlocked. The little engine that could. Damn right. You guys like that? How I like, wait a second. The little engine that could is a red pill. It's a red pill story. What is now. All right. I'm going to give him, he gave me a $10 super chat. I'm going to bump him up to the $20 super chat video.
Thank you for the super chats. Movies bouncing, can't stop that. From the east to the west, you are the best. Keep those chats coming in, let's do it all again.
Bless their hearts, guys. Smash that like button. Smash that like button. All right. Okay, so I mentioned the ant and the spider at the beginning, right? So let's talk about that. So brother John sends me this video, and like I said at the beginning, what they did was they put an ant on a piece of paper, and then they took a pencil and they drew a circle around the ant, and the ant believed it was trapped in the circle, even though it could have walked out anytime. Well, they did the same thing with the spider, right? They found the spider, they put a circle around it. The spider, same thing, wouldn't cross that line. And then what they did with the spider that they didn't do with the ant was they just kept drawing another circle, but inward, right? So inside that circle, they drew another circle, and they kept doing that, and they kept doing it and closing in on the spider until the spider had no choice but to accidentally step over the line, because the line just kept getting so close to it that it was curling up like this, and then finally there wasn't any more room, and its leg slipped out. Well, as soon as the spider saw that its leg actually could cross the line, it got up and walked out. It got up and walked over the lines, and then they tried doing it again. They would put a circle around it. It wouldn't stay in the circle then. Once it realized that the circle wasn't real, it never did it again. Right? So that's the goal. That's the goal here, guys, is to realize that some of these negative things that you're telling yourself, it's really just a circle. And the only way is to actually step outside that comfort zone. Right? You got to step outside that comfort zone and test it. You got to test that self-limiting belief and see if it's even real or not. Right? But once you realize it's not real, you're going to slap yourself in the face. Right? One of the things that I'm actively telling myself right now, now that I'm a full-time, content creator, is that I have a lot of my own self-limiting beliefs and doubts and fears and stuff like that I have to push through on a daily basis, right? Because when you're working for yourself, there are no guarantees. You know what I mean? And honestly, one of the things that one of my coaches told me was that even when you have a job, there's no guarantees, right? They can fire you at any moment. What happened to me last Friday? They laid me off, right? A job I've had for 14 years. I just get laid off one day. So you might think in your head that you have job security, but there really is no such thing as job security. So what's the real difference, right? And so one of the things that I'm telling myself on a daily basis is I'm picturing myself looking back at this point, right? Maybe 5 years from now going, man, why didn't I do this sooner? Like, this is such an awesome thing. And I can't believe I was so scared to do it. And it's actually, the best life ever. Right. That's one of the things I keep telling myself to help me push through and keep moving forward. Right. I'm stepping because I was forced to step over the line with this sort of thing. Right. But how many of us are like that ant, right? Staying inside an imaginary boundary. How many, like the spider, need that one moment of proof to realize all the limits were never real? That's all you need sometimes, is just that one moment of proof, right? That one moment of proof. I remember the first time I landed my first like high ticket client, for my full coaching program. The first time that I did that, it was mind blowing for me. I was like, holy crap, this is real. That was like the spider, happening to, my leg went over the line with that. I was like, oh my God, this is actually a real thing. Wow. That's amazing. The problem is most of us never get that moment, right? We spend years believing those beliefs, those limiting beliefs are real, missing out on everything that we actually want in life, whether it's a promotion, starting our own business, or just asking a girl out. And how many times have you not asked a girl out and then you beat yourself up over it? Like, oh, I had this opportunity once. Oh man, she was so fine too, and she was so into me, and all I had to do, right? But I chickened out, right? How many of times has that happened to you guys? Right? If you're waiting for a sign, sometimes you have to create it, right? Most men don't do it alone because the line is invisible from inside the circle. And that's why I wrote my book, by the way, Psychology Paradigm. And that's also one of the reasons why I coach men and why I'm so passionate about doing what I do and helping men, because a lot of guys are held back by their own self-limiting beliefs in whatever area of life that they're in, right? And I do all that sort of thing just to help you get to your spider moment a little bit quicker than you would if you weren't working with someone, right? Sometimes you can learn all this stuff on your own. You can go back to the old archives of the podcast. I got 5 years of this stuff, and you can just, listen to this on a daily basis, but it's going to take a long time to step over that line. You know what I mean? All right. Yeah. Going back to the becoming a full-time content creator. Man, I would say this. So 5 years ago, I knew I wanted to do this, and I thought I wasn't ready. Like 5 years ago, I thought I wasn't ready. And to be honest, I probably was. I wasn't 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I had no idea how this business even worked, right? But at least 3 years ago, I probably could have taken the plunge. I probably could have done this 3 years ago, and I just didn't, because keeping my day job was honestly pretty convenient for me. I worked remotely, so as long as I got my tasks done, I still had plenty of time to work on stuff I actually cared about. So it was convenient. It was like having a guaranteed paycheck every 2 weeks. And that kind of caused me to be lazy when it came to growing my show and producing more products, right? And maybe lazy isn't fair, because I still put in a lot of work to produce my content, but the day job really took focus and time away from really going all in to make this profitable, right? Because I only had so many hours in the day to work on the podcast and social media and stuff. And then I had to spend 8 hours a day doing work for the day job. Now I can spend that extra 8 hours a day doing more, right? Putting more content out. You probably noticed my content on social media is just every fucking 20 minutes, probably. It's probably annoying as shit. But I have so much more time now, right? But since I was getting paid well, from the day job, I didn't have a ton of incentive to do more than I was doing. That makes sense, right? Because I got this money coming in. I don't really need to see what I could do to make more money with the podcast. The revenue that I'm coming in with the podcast and the coaching is good money. But I've got this sort of guaranteed thing over here. And so I never really went all in over here, right? Well, now that my former employer essentially drew that circle around me so close that I had no choice but to step over it, I now have no doubt that I'm going to do extremely well as a full-time content creator and men's coach, because I work harder than fucking almost anybody in this space. I am always fucking grinding on this shit. I know I work harder than Clary, but Clary's got a leg up on me because, he's been doing it for so long and he's got such a big audience. And every time he goes live, he gets, tens or hundreds of thousands of views, right? Just because he's got that core audience. And almost all of my audience is all from like short form content. But Clary, he gets up, he goes hiking all day. He gets these ideas. This is one of the things that Clary does. And I love this. Is one of the blessings of Rollo inviting me on Rule Zero for all those years, right? Is that I got to sit under the learning tree of guys who do this full time. I actually got to pick their brains and like swap notes with them. I've hung out with Clary on several occasions, and I just loved asking him questions about the business, right? And just watching him do what he does. And Clary, he's a funny guy. All he wants is like his free time to do whatever he wants. And he doesn't have a set schedule for his podcast because he doesn't want to have to be tied down to a schedule. And so, but what he does is he's always coming up with new ideas, and he's got pads of paper around his house where if he gets an idea, he walks over and just writes it down. And then he goes about doing whatever he wants to do. And then in the evenings, when he's feeling ready for it, he'll knock out like 2 or 3 streams in an evening. And he, and he does it based off of his ideas that he writes down and stuff like that. And he's just constantly doing that sort of thing. And that's what he does. And then he throws out a book every year, right? A book or 2 every year. Sounds wonderful, right? But I'm out here doing that kind of stuff too, but I'm also just like grinding away on social media. Like I got to put out 6 videos a day. I've got to do right? Like, yeah. Anyway, I have all the time in the world now to do it. It's great. It's great. I want to close this segment with this. I want you to ask yourself, what circle do you think is holding you back? What circle have you put around yourself that is holding you back in life? I want you to think about that. While you're thinking about that, I got to ask you guys, who wants to run with the wolves, baby?
Bear Club? Not anymore.
Home, midlife drift, feeling alone. You don't need hacks, blogs, lies. You need men with fire in their eyes. We rebuild from the ground up. No excuses, no soft stuff. Telegram lit 24/7. Brothers locked in, steel, not ever. Step inside the pack. We don't fall, we attack. True fire presence, we bring it back. Masculine pride, no time to slack. Step inside the pack. Drop your past, claim your track. No therapy talk, no playing small. We sharpen blades, we take it all.
Man, that song is just too sweet. It gets me pumped up, man. Gets me absolutely pumped up. Guys, if you want to work with me one-on-one, you can. Book a call. Go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com. Don't let the price tag scare you either, because if you have a serious problem and you need to go into the full coaching program, which a lot of guys do, I refund you for this call. The reason why I actually charge for this call is because there's a lot of tire kickers out there and they just want some free advice that they're never going to use. And that's the problem with free, is that you don't value free. So if you get on a free call and then, I give you a breakthrough call and you go about your day, you're going to think your problem's fixed, even when it hasn't actually been fixed yet, because it takes more than just a single call to do it. Right. But I just charge this just to make sure that you're serious when you're booking a call. Right. And you're not just wasting both of our times doing that. All right, where are we at here? Boom. We've got some more guys in the chat here. Kamal says, we got another Bauer in the house. Yeah, I see Ken on social media all the time. And we got Carrie McHugh, too many in my youth. Mike says, yep, I fumbled it at 17. There was a gal who looked like Lara Croft that was obsessed with me. I rejected her simply because I didn't want to get her pregnant. That's why vasectomies are so fucking rad. Not when you're at 17, but you know what I mean? That's what condoms are for though, bro. Carrie says, my last high school reunion, some of the women said they had crushes on some of us guys and were surprised we said the same thing. Big opportunities missed. You know what's funny about that? My son and I were in Florida. My son and I were in Florida last year. We went out there just to do it. And one of the gals that was like, she was I think she was a cheerleader or on Pom Squad or something. She was totally hot, always in the popular crowd when I was in high school. She said, "Oh, you're in Orlando. I'd love for you to come by and see me." And the thing is that the girls that were hot when I was in high school, a lot of them have hit the fucking wall. They've hit the wall, and this poor girl, she hit the wall pretty hard. And so I was like, yeah, I'm busy. I won't be able to hang out. Plus, I'm with Nurse Chick. You know, I shouldn't be hanging out with random strange from high school, right? But still, it's funny how like the popular chicks who've gotten older, all of a sudden they got crushes on guys that they wouldn't have talked to when they were in high school, right? Because they weren't popular. There are some chicks, though. I'll be honest. There's some chicks that were popular when I was in high school that are still hot, and I'm like, wow, good for you. Good on you. Ken sent a $20 super chat. Thanks for helping us with different issues, Paul. It's very much appreciated. Yeah, well, I'm glad that you're getting value out of it, brother. Glad that you're getting value out of it. And because you sent a $20 super chat, let me give you some titties.
Thank you for the super chats. Boobies bouncing, can't stop that. From the east to the west, you are the best. Keep those chats coming in, let's do it all again.
Guys, and thanks again for the super chats, guys. Like I said before, now that I'm doing this full time, those super chats matter more than anything, or they matter more than they ever have, I should say. All right, we're gonna break free from this nonsense for good. Okay, so how do we actually recognize our self-limiting beliefs? I mentioned this last week, actually, but if you sit down and you picture a perfect future, money's no object. Dream as big as possible. Okay. The sky's the limit for you. The bigger, the better. Okay. Imagine your life. Absolutely. Like maybe you don't want to ever have to work again. Okay. Maybe you don't ever have to work again. And you're just, fishing every day or whatever it is. Okay. Now sit down and think of all the reasons you can't possibly do that. Right? Just list them out. What's holding you back from doing that scenario? Okay. Every single reason you come up with is a self-limiting belief. Every one of them. Right? Now, here's the thing about you wanting to not have to work at all. There's different ways that you can actually get there, right? Like if you invest your money right, you start working on passive income streams and stuff like that, then you actually won't have to work, right? So it's possible because other guys have done it before. You just, right now you're telling yourself you can't, I have to work. I have to do this, right? But you're not thinking of ways you can do it. Like, how can I make this possible? So any reason that you come up with of why you can't, self-limiting belief right there. That's how you identify your self-limiting beliefs. Okay. And you know how you can tell if it's a self-limiting belief or not? Just ask yourself if anyone has ever done it, right? If the answer is yes, it's a self-limiting belief. Okay. One thing I learned from Wallace D. Wattles years ago, Wallace D. Wattles wrote The Science of Getting Rich. And if you guys go to my YouTube channel and look in my playlist, I did an entire series where I went over the entire book, right? Some of those episodes, I just read the chapter to you. Some of them, the chapters were so long, I just broke down the top 10 concepts in each chapter. But I did a whole series on The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. But one of the biggest takeaways from reading that book was that if one man can do something, another man can do it. If one man can do something, another man can do it. So anything that you want to do in life, you just have to ask yourself, Has someone already been successful at this? Because all you have to do is just model what they did and you'll have the same success. You have to model what they did and have the same mindset, which is really just a can-do attitude and belief in yourself. And you will have the same success they have, right? You got to ask yourself, why not you, right? If they can do it, why can't I? But here's the rub. If you come up with reasons for why not you, just know that those are also self-limiting beliefs. Okay. We also have this really cool tool in NLP called the awareness wheel as a way to get past self-limiting beliefs, right? So it's a practical tool from coaching and psychology. It's designed to help you understand what's actually going on inside your head when you're stuck, anxious, or unsure of how to act. So you can sort of think of this as a mental dashboard. It's a simple way to break down what you're experiencing so you can see patterns and make real changes in the moment. Okay. So it has 5 parts. 1, your senses. What are you actually experiencing right now through your 5 senses? Okay. So maybe you come across something and you're getting anxious about it and you're like, I can't do this. I don't believe this, right? Just stop and be present in the moment and start thinking about what are you experiencing right now through your 5 senses, right? And this is why, like, because if you're developing a lot of anxiety about something, you're imagining a future scenario, right? So in that future scenario, what are you feeling, right? Stuff like I hear my boss raising his voice, or I see this girl that I want to talk to not making eye contact. Okay, you're seeing this, or you're hearing this, or you're whatever it's cold outside, whatever. You use your 5 senses to experience what you're visualizing that's causing that anxiety. Your thoughts. Number 2 is your thoughts. What story are you telling yourself about what's happening? We tell ourselves stories to put meaning behind different things, right? So what stories are you telling yourself about what's happening? So for example, my boss thinks I messed up, or she's just not interested in me. This is a story that you're telling yourself, right? She's not interested in me. You don't know for real because you haven't actually gone and talked to her. But you're telling yourself the story that she's not interested, or she's probably not interested. 3, feelings. What emotions are coming up as a result, right? I feel anxious. I feel embarrassed. I feel shut down. Okay, these are your feelings, right? 4, your intentions. What do you want right now? What's your goal? Okay. In that moment, in your visualization, what do you want in that moment? Well, I feel like I need to defend myself. I want to feel respected. I want to be able to connect with someone, right? That's your intention in that moment, in this future scenario. So what action are you going to take, right? What do you do next? How do you act based on all the above? Okay, what are you going to do about it? I stay quiet. I make a joke to change the subject. I avoid the conversation altogether. Okay, these are things that are going to help you sort of let your self-limiting beliefs bubble to the surface. Okay, because these are all like you're thinking of reasons why you can't do something, or what, things that are holding you back. Okay. So it's going to help you become aware of it. That's why it's called the awareness wheel. And it works because most people react automatically, right? Like 95% of our actions are habit-based. We're reacting to things. Okay. They don't actually sit there and analyze stuff. Okay. So they don't notice the gap between what's happening, the senses, and the story that they're telling themselves, your thoughts, and how they feel and what they end up doing. So the awareness wheel forces you to pause and break that all down. And that's how you spot self-limiting beliefs in real time. You dig? Smash that like button if you're following along with this. Okay. So in practice, right? Whenever you catch yourself hesitating, procrastinating, or feeling stuck, mentally run through the awareness wheel and ask, what am I sensing? What am I thinking about? How does it make me feel? What do I actually want? And what action am I going to take? And this is the action, or and is this action helping me or just repeating the same old pattern? Because if whatever your gut instinct is on the action, if it's going to keep you where you're at, you know that that's what's holding you back. That's an invisible barrier that's holding you back, because it's going to keep you in that same pattern. So you have to be aware of that and then actively change that. You got to change that action to step outside the line, right? Be the spider that steps outside the line. And if you do this, you start to notice where your invisible circles are. And that's the first step of breaking out of them. Okay. We can also replace old beliefs. And we talk about this a lot on the podcast, so I'm not going to beat it to death, right? But you can do visualization techniques, scripting exercises. I've mentioned the concept of a mind movie, right? I love mind movies. And every evening when the sun goes down, I like to sit on my back patio and just watch my mind movie that I've made for myself, right? Like that's a real fun exercise, because it really, it forces you to sit down for about 5 or 6 minutes. And that's all you really need, right? 5 or 6 minutes of just dedicated focus on how you want your life to be, right? And so the mind movie comes up with different images, for one, and it uses kaleidoscopes to sort of really get you into a trance, so that all this information is just going right to your subconscious. It's bypassing that ego protection layer, going right to your subconscious. And then it's got affirmations on the screen. So as you're just watching this and just sort of imagining all the, your life being whatever the images are, right? The words are also popping up on the screen. All that's going in your subconscious. It's fun. It's such a fun practice. I love doing it. And then sleep recordings at night, read your affirmations and record them, get a microphone, just record your affirmations and then listen to them while you sleep. Because when you're sleeping, your conscious mind, your ego protection layer are resting for the night, and your subconscious mind never rests. It's always grinding away. And so you have direct access to your subconscious when you're sleeping. It's kind of cool. But do you see how you could apply these in your career, in your business, in your relationships? Do you see how you can take some of these techniques and sort of understand where you might be holding yourself back in those areas of your life, and how you could possibly identify those self-limiting beliefs and maybe step outside your comfort zone a little bit? Are you guys seeing that? Like I said before, if you want to know more about techniques to rewire your mindset for success so that you have a more dominant masculine presence, then by all means, grab my book, Psychology Paradigm. You can get it on Audible and on Amazon. The links are in the description for that, right? And then, because I go way more in depth with stuff like this in the book. And then I also invite you to just listen to the book on repeat, because just listening to a good audiobook like this will help rewire your mind for success, because all that stuff you're listening to eventually seeps into your own subconscious. It's actually how Bob Proctor totally attributes all of his success because of listening to or reading and rereading Think and Grow Rich on repeat for 60 years straight, right? Guy ended up dying a millionaire and also coaching guys into becoming millionaires. Guy was a genius. You don't have to live inside someone else's circle. All right, we're going to end on this. You do not have to live in someone else's circle. Freedom is yours if you just decide to step past that line, brother. Cool. Hope you guys like this one. Guys, tune into the podcast on Monday. We're going to be talking about the truth about modern marriage that no one wants to talk about. We're lifting the lid on the harsh realities of modern marriage, and we're going to talk about the pressures of social media to the expectations of societal norms, and why some of those new societal norms that we believe about marriage are completely ineffective, and that's why we have such a high divorce rate. And we're diving into the unfiltered truth about what it really means to be married in today's world. So that should be a fun one if you guys like rage bait. Just kidding. Just kidding. Because what I'm going to talk about, a lot of guys tune into Monday's episodes because they're basically dead bedroom type, episodes. It's all about fixing your relationship with your wife, right? And so a lot of guys, the reason why they're having so many problems in their marriage is because of the things they don't understand about modern marriage. And then they're thinking about quitting or getting divorced. And I'm also going to show why it's better to fix your marriage if you can. It's better to fix your marriage if you can, because the consequences of not fixing it are pretty drastic, and you don't want to have to go through that if you don't have to. Sometimes it's unavoidable, right? But still, it's not a fun process. Don't let anyone that's just dump her bro is like, they don't even know what they're talking about half the time. It's not easy to just dump her bro when you've got shared mortgage and 3 kids and, like 4 cars you're making payments on or whatever. Like, it's just not that easy, right? It's not that simple. All right, guys, that's all we got. Do be sure to like, subscribe, and hit those notifications if you haven't done so already. Thanks to everyone that sounded off in the live chat. I appreciate you. I'm able to bring your guys' comments up on the screen. It's always fun to have that interaction with you guys. Thank you so much for the super chats, guys. I am truly grateful whenever you guys send super chats and support me, because like I said, I'm doing this full time. So getting that really helps keep these coming. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description. Grab all my books on Amazon, but today we're really talking about Psychology Paradigm. So grab that if you haven't. If you guys have read my books, or especially Psychology Paradigm, and you haven't done so already, please leave a review on Amazon or Audible, because that really helps support me more than anything else. And it's free to do. It's just that when people really enjoy something, it's hard to get someone who enjoys something to leave a good review. If they hate it, I don't even have to ask. Like, they're proud to tell everybody how much they hated it, right? So if you've read my books and you actually enjoyed them, please take a moment today or this weekend to leave a review. That means a lot to me. I really appreciate it. Guys, sponsor a video, okay? If you have a question and you would like me to do a video about it and talk about your specific situation, consider sponsoring a video, okay? It's way cheaper than coaching. And if you think that you just need this one area fixed, this is probably the best way to do it. Okay. So sponsor video, go to video.comeonmanpod.com. And I'm going to start doing those on Tuesday evenings. I can't do it this Tuesday because I've already promised Brother Kamal that we're going to pre-record the Wolfpack pod class, because he's in Europe and he can't do it live. So we're going to have to do a pre-recorded live for that. But so we're doing that on Tuesday, but that following Tuesday after that, we're going to start doing these sponsored videos as they come in. Okay. And then if you want to work with me directly, book a call, go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com. That's all we got. We will see you guys on Monday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.